So those two videos I made yesterday, they had more comments than almost any other videos. They had no fewer likes than any other videos. And I've seen one subscriber gone down. But doubtless when I look again at the end of today, there'll be another half a dozen or so more subscribers. So let's talk about that, shall we? Because lots of people, they like my rants, and doubtless not too many people take me too seriously. Albeit some do. Some new subscribers, they get all their tizzy. You know the ones, the love and lighters, or the Christians, people like that, or the shrinking violets. So you've got shrinking violets, love and lighters, Christians. Let's just throw in the meek and inadequate, the weak ones that want the world to come down to their level because they're tired of being the weakest, and they're so terrified of everybody they meet. And so because they're so weak and they're so terrified, they project a fake niceness onto the world, and they pretend that they're so loving and they're so caring. It's because they're so desperate to get that in return. Because if they weren't afraid, if they were strong, then they wouldn't feel the need to be like that, you see. So when we look at the psychology of the human being, there's so much to discern. And you know, one of the things I notice from people that have been watching quite a lot of my videos, they come upon one video and then they gauge and judge me by that video. And then they think that that's the only way I've ever thought, or that's the only way I ever think, when I make so many videos consisting of so much diversity. But when people get their egos triggered, they have a form of blindness. They have memories like goldfish. They can't remember the last 3 videos, and they can't compute this guy that speaks with such vitriol about large portions of the human race, that in other videos can appear to be really kind of pleasant, loving, endearing, and that fucks with their heads. They don't know how anybody could be like that. But you know, I'm always saying to people, evil runs through the heart of every man. And the sooner you realise that we all have the potential, the better. But most people, they deny their potential. And so in one of the videos yesterday, I asked, who of you had married the devil? And not a single person, yeah, I did. Why? You scared of that? You scared of admitting that? Guaranteed, out of 100% of you that got married, at least 70% would have had very, very evil experiences with your partner. And so you married the devil, people. You know, people don't get this. You know, I'm always blustering about my genius and how nobody is even ranking anywhere close, you know, to getting what I'm saying, because it runs too deep. It's too deep, it's too close to the bone. And of course I've read hundreds of accounts of, you know, deep intellectuals that have been saying things about the human being that nobody ever wanted to accept. We're a very curious creature. We just really don't want to accept our shadow. And of course Carl Jung was the greatest advocate for us all harbouring our own evil. Harbouring it, people. Hiding it from the world and from ourselves, from our ego. We even hide it from our own ego. Our ego even denies it. itself. It just doesn't want to confront that, because there's no way our ego's ever going to admit that we could do this and we could do that. Well, let me tell you what we can do, what you can do. Now, some of you may be aware that we are actually getting pretty close to a third world war. Some of you may be aware that there are 500,000 troops around the borders of the Ukraine ready to engage with Russian forces. Some of you may be aware that the United States of America now is surreptitiously bringing in conscript laws. And within those laws, they have the power to conscript all immigrants. Now, of course, immigrants are always the first to fall. And how the government goes about it, they say, well, look, if you want to come into our country, then you have to earn your status. You weren't born here, so you don't have any rights. So you've got to earn your rights, so you go and fight for this nation. And then, if you should survive, then we'll give you citizenship. They've said that forever in countries. And, you know, even in the Roman Empire times, they used to give emancipation to their slaves, and then they'd give them a parcel of land. And even with the African slaves, they were bought for 15 years of their lives. And then, once they have worked off those 15 years, they were to be given a parcel of land, which to sustain themselves. Well, today is it's only reckoning it's 19 degrees, but that's feeling uncomfortable for me. I don't like it like that, and there's no wind. But fortunately it's clouds, and so it looks like the cloud will be over in a minute. But and some of you can hear the church organ in the background. Yes, quite a pleasant affair, really. And so yes, the machinations of war are upon us, and even Britain and Europe are considering conscript now. Can you imagine a time when we in Britain get conscripted? Wow, I haven't had that for a while. National service went out of Britain, I think in about 1954, something like that. You know, compulsory joining up to the forces. But you see, if people do get the call, I mean, for instance, like me, I mean, I'm too old and crazy, for sure, to get conscripted. But, you know, if they ever did, I wouldn't go. I would never have gone. Never. You know, and, you know, what they do is they threaten you with prison. And it's about 5 years. But you see, if you've got more people with balls who say, I'm not going to go and fucking die for these corporations. It's not for my fucking country. You know, if Russia wants to have a war with Ukraine, fucking go and do it. I'm not fucking going there. If soldiers start to storm up our beaches, I might consider picking up a rifle. But how many people will just accept that? How many people will turn into killers? Within a 6-week training period, they will turn their minds around to killing innocent people. They're just the same as you, conscripts, people being press ganged into killing for the corporations. What a bunch of stupid cunts. Really. This is why I don't have no respect for the human being. Bunch of stupid cunts. Millions of them will be drafted. Millions of them will go and kill and be killed. For what? For who? It's all about resources. If you look into the reasons behind the Ukraine thing, well, there's, of course, like anything, there's many, many reasons. One reason is that it was such a fucking cesspool run by mafia and all different sorts of miscreants, and there was one of the biggest child procuring rings which was operating out of the Ukraine. The CIA had been there for about 15 years and they knew all what was going on. There was of course this very prominent Nazi party which everybody turned a blind eye to. There was all different sorts of nefarious manifestations going on that anybody with morals just wouldn't accept, and they go, no, we've got to stop this, we're going in. But you see, also the major consideration is the money. Now, not only are the powers that be earning from the arms which they are selling, they are also getting another objective of theirs met, which is population reduction. So with every single death, it serves them with their agenda for population reduction, and with every single bullet fired, it's lining their pockets. And so it's a win-win situation. Now there is supposed to be massive resources in Ukraine, which if Russia gets their hands on, then they will be selling a good portion of it to China. And so, of course, the West doesn't want that to happen, because resources are power, and the last thing the West wants is for the East to have more power. So you can see that there's just a few things that I've broached here, reasons for this war. And so it's just one of those things. Let me mention another one, shall I? For those of you that have an adherence to evil Archons ruling this planet, some of you prefer to say the devil. Well, there is a thing called loosh. It's negative energy which is derived out of terror. And so it seems to me that there is a great requirement for more loosh. You see, they always need this loosh. They always have to have the terror. They've got to have the human being terrified. Now, for all of you that remember the terrorism era with the Al-Qaeda and Hamas and all the rest of those terrorist organisations, they're so terrible, they're intent on destroying the West and this, that and the other, and then there's a little bomb pop off here and there, and then they fabricate mass weapons of mass destruction and all the rest of it. What came out of it? Nobody had weapons of mass destruction. President Assad from Syria wasn't, killing and culling his population. In actual fact, they really liked him. If you see interviews on the ground by freelance reporters, the people are saying, no, he's a good man, he's done as well. Exactly the same with Gaddafi in Libya. Libya gave all new couples their own property, and everybody was benefiting from a very prominent economy, and it was a very peaceful regime, and the people loved Gaddafi. And but the West, had to make machinations and destroy those mini utopias. So you ask yourself, well, look, Saddam Hussein never had weapons of mass destruction. And okay, he's a dictator. Fucking Biden's a dictator. Whoever the fucking Prime Minister in Great Britain is, I don't even know. Is it that Sunak Muppet? But they're all dictators, people. Every single one of them. There is no democracy. I'm not sure whether there ever was, but most certainly there's no democracies now. They're all covert dictators. And they're all working for the same institution, organisation, nefarious fucking globalist party. And it seems that if at the very least all they want is power over the world and the inhabitants, they also want all the resources and the beautiful places for themselves. So they want population reduction, because they don't want to see a bunch of fat ugly muppets walking around these places when they are so beautiful. And these dead brain muppets have got no level of appreciation for the God that they're walking amongst every day. And so they don't deserve it. They don't deserve the air that they breathe. And people think this is a very peculiar way of thinking, but you gotta fucking evolve, people. You've got to read a bit more. You've got to listen to a few more documentaries. You got to watch a few more movies about utopia. There were never ever any old people in a utopia. If you look back to Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, not a single old person there. No, they just disappeared miraculously. Then if you look at notions and concepts of heaven, you will never ever see a depiction of an old person in heaven. They're not there. They're not required. They're not wanted. They're a burden. They're an eyesore. Nobody wants old people. And so, we've got a bit of a situation on planet Earth. People are living longer. The old people are gobbling up too many resources, human resources. I mean, this old lady that used to live next door to me, she's gone into a home now, 88 years old. The bitch won't die. And I used to be her friend. I used to go in her apartment and, sit down and have a chat with her and run errands over to the shop to buy her fags and milk and whatever she wanted. Her and her daughter and her 2 sons, they all think the sun shines out Aaron's arse, because one-on-one, I'm a very nice guy. But when I look at age across the board, I just see it superfluous. There's no point in these people being here. The vast majority of them don't want to be here, if truth be known, if you ask them. I said the other day in a video, they're shitting themselves, they forget their own fucking name, they won't even recognise visitors when they go and see them. What's the point? There's no point. So this is why Europe and the world eventually is introducing euthanasia. All it's got to do now is condition kids from a very young age that there will be no old people. All your lovely grandparents, they're all going to go to heaven about the age of 60, probably before, depending on how respectful they've been to their own bodies in their lives. But if it's found by the government that they have disrespected their bodies and they've grown very, very fat and disgusting, and all they are is a burden on resources, then they will be sent away on a permanent holiday much sooner. And I can't see any problem with that. And then you've got people like Bernard Shaw. He was goodness me from late 1800s, early 1900s, philosopher and poet and politician, all these sort of things. And he said that every human being getting to a certain age should be vetted to see if they have any value for the world and society. And if people are deemed not to have value, then it's bye-bye. And so some of you may think that's really, oh, that's my mum and that's my dad and I love them. You may love your old mum and dad, but nobody else on the planet gives a fuck about them. Even the carers don't give a fuck about them. They treat them mostly like shit, because all they are is just bags of bones which shit themselves all the time. What's the fun in catering and caring for them? Nothing. And then they don't remember, they don't appreciate what you're doing. All they do is whinge all the time and abuse you. And so it will be in everyone's right just to wish death upon them. And death would be the best thing. And so it's an education that people have to go through. And again, some of you will be throwing up your hands around your ears because you can't evolve into this state and position. But what I'm telling you now is that if you were conditioned into this train of thought from a young age, you would be in the greatest of acceptance for it now, because human beings are programmable matter, and all it needs is the repetition of something said, and then you will believe it with all your heart, and you will have complete and utter compliance to it. And so, because you think the government is masters and they're God and they've got God-given rights over you and your body and your life, when they say to you, oi, cunt, get your fucking khaki on and get the fuck out there in the battlefield, you muppet. You'll do it, won't you? You'll fucking do it. And all you would-be heroes in America that have got all your guns, well, I'm looking forward to the insurrection. I'm looking forward to 1776. I'm looking forward to that, to see how many of you have really got the bollocks that you're all fucking proclaiming to have. You've got all these fucking guns racked up in your bedroom, and you probably sleep with them, and yet how many of you are going to be prepared to use them when the time comes in the spirit of 1776? I can't wait to see it. I can't fucking wait. So, you look, I'm just touching on a few facets of the human being, and they're very wanting. They're very, very wanting. How many American heroes is there gonna be that take up arms against a feral state? That take up arms like their founding fathers suggested it was their right to do? How many people are going to do that? Well, I hope there's quite a lot. I really do. I hope that there's some real human beings with bollocks out there, instead of just a bunch of fat fucking cowardice plebs that even if they could shoot a gun, they couldn't run 10 fucking yards if needed to, without puffing, wheezing and fucking having a heart attack. So go figure, people, go figure. So, the powers that be, if they are Archons, if they are manipulated by Archons, and I think it's highly likely that they are, because I don't doubt that there are Archons, and I don't doubt that there are these secret societies and Illuminati and the globalists and all that, and I don't doubt that they procure babies and children for bloodletting to drink the adrenochrome. I don't doubt that they procure children for sex and all different sorts of rituals and murder and all that sort of thing. I don't doubt it. I really don't doubt it. I think ultimately, when people get to a position of ultimate power, they get to a level of ultimate corruption, people. Now, we've all heard this mantra, ultimate power leads to ultimate corruption. I don't think there's many people which wouldn't succumb to that. And when you raise up in the echelons of power, and you can have anything you want, the powers that be, the Archons, they will give you riches beyond measure. Look at them all, they're all billionaires. And so if you can have women a fraction of your age, then why wouldn't you? And it's not just the men, people, it's the women as well. Why wouldn't an old human being want to desire the flesh of a younger human being? It's perfectly natural to do. And the only reason most people don't do it is because society beats the fuck out of them. And everywhere they go, they would try to shame them because they're so tiny, small-minded that they couldn't deal with that. But the fact of it is, when I look at all these young girl procuring rings, they all look perfectly happy with the situation, to be fair. And when we look at the Jeffrey Epstein thing, there was only one girl who was 17, who was below the sexual consent age in Florida, because in varying states of America, you have to be a certain age to have sex and marry. Now, during the 60s, there was a rock and roller, goodness gracious, great ball of fire, Jerry Lee Lewis, and he married a 13-year-old girl. He couldn't marry that girl in his home city, whatever state that was. He went to another state where you could marry at 13 years old. And if we go back 100 years, then many people, everybody in America was marrying at 13 years old. And if you go over onto the continent of Africa and you look at how they live in their tribe, as soon as a girl menstruates, then she is old enough for sex, babies and marriage. And so that is nature's way. Yes, it seems very, very absurd to you conditioned people in the West, but Africans and jungle people and all different sorts of other cultures have been perfectly happy with what nature has served them. And if nature says a girl at 9-10 years old is old enough to have a baby, then it must be so. And so if they are built to have a baby, if they're menstruating, then they are obviously ready for sex. And so you got to evolve, people. It's all just about times, it's all about criteria, it's all about rules and regulations. And the only reason they don't want us to be copulating in the West, let's say even in the 60s when I was growing up, you can get married at 15, but then they raised it up now to 16. And so, like I say, 200 years ago it would have been 13, probably even 12, even 12 years old. I've read in some of these old books that so-and-so took a young bride of 12 years old. And Muhammad, he had wives of 9 years old, the youngest, because that was their culture. And then, in these present cultures, everyone's crying paedophile. It's a state of mind, people. But if you look at what nature delivers up, if you look at the rules and the laws of the cosmos say it's perfectly natural as soon as a girl menstruates. Now, the reason why these modern societies don't want people to be copulating early, because they're not responsible in modern societies. They've not grown up, they're not evolved enough like they were in the old days. In the old days, they were much more evolved. Alexander the Great was a king of the fucking world at 19 years old. Can you imagine? He was obviously, a man at 12 years old in those periods. And, you can look at people and you can see that by the time a kid is 12 years old, many of them are almost 6 feet tall these days. And so they're as tall as they're going to get. They just got to fill out over the years. And, by the time a man reaches 18, 20 years old, they're at their peak. They're ready to take on the world. But in Western countries, you've got to be 17, 18, even to drive, let alone, have sex with a girl or guy. It's control of the state, people. And so just because that is what they are imposing on us doesn't make it right. So you think to yourself what is right. And for instance, if like somebody like me, let's just say an older man meets a younger woman, let's say 20 years old, and even if we don't fall in love, even if we just desire each other and want to be with each other and we enjoy being with each other, then whose fucking problem's that? It's going to be everybody else's. Why? Because they're jealous, and it's just out of their expectations. And all the old men and old women are going to be going, oh, look at him, abusing that young girl. And the girl can say, fuck you, I'm abusing him. I'll fucking get off on fucking old men. At least older men, father figures. There's lots of girls like this around, people. And if you travel the world like I have, and you've encountered all these girls from all different countries, when they are selling their bodies at 18 years old, and they don't have a problem with any age, well, it's just horses for courses. Horses for courses. And so the way I speak in my videos, I'm pointing things out that people don't want to hear. How many of you now just feel an abhorrence about that? Because you've been conditioned. Simply, you've been conditioned. You've been programmed. Because if you'd grown up in Afghanistan, you probably would have a bride of 12 years old right now. And so just get a fucking breast of yourselves. But when I'm saying things about old people, they're superfluous. There's no point in them being here. They bring the whole society down. Well, I'm saying nothing new. The other great thinking people have always said, and they've written about in books and movies, and people just accept the books and movies because it's just a book and it's a movie. But if you say it on video, and if you really mean it, then and then starting to get all protective about their old sticks. Now let me ask you this. oh, this one's going to hurt, because it's really going to be compromising you, because you know what I say is true, but you just don't feel as if your conscience will allow you to think that way. But any of you that have got aging parents and they don't remember the name, and they don't remember turning the cooker off, and they're shitting themselves at every given opportunity, and they're falling down the fucking stairs and all this sort of stuff, but then they're kind of like, they're so adamant that they want to continue to live on their own, and they don't want to go into a home, and all this sort of stuff. And how many of you that have got these parents, they're sitting in properties worth anything up to £500,000 or dollars, and you're just hoping for that fucking day, and you can't wait till it comes to release you from the burden and the guilt of having to clean your old Mars knickers and vomit, from a fucking bra and all the rest of it. You just want those days to be over, don't you? Nobody wants those days to continue. Everybody wants them to be over. And so if there was a pill to give them out of compassion, then if you were conditioned into accepting that, then you'd be running towards them. Hey, Mum, Dad, got this pill. You know the pill they've been talking about ever since you were born? Yeah, it's that pill. Well, it's that time now. Oh, really? Is it? Yes, Mum, you're 95 fucking years old. Oh, I'm not, am I? I thought I was 60, 62. I thought I was 60. No, Mum, you're not 63. You're fucking 95. Take the fucking pill. Yes, they'll be taking the pill, people. It's the way the world's going. But you see, people like me, we have vision. And we know how the world's going. We know how the world has to go. We cannot keep having trillions and trillions of more old fucks with more old people's homes. And every one of these old people, they need an entourage, a fucking army to look after them. We can't afford the resources. We've got to put the resources into something else. And to be quite frank, we're getting pretty thin on compassion these days. We really don't fucking care. And so look, it's easy for me not to care because I wasn't conditioned into our loving grandma. My old man told me my grandma was a fucking tard from the get-go. My old man told me stories about his parents from when he was a kid, and he couldn't fucking stand them. And the only reason he allowed them to come into his house is because they wanted to see the kids. And he thought, I suppose the kids might want to fucking see them. And the old sticks used to bring us a tin of chocolates for Christmas. They never bought any fucking thing else, just one tin of Quality Street every Christmas, and there was 12 of us, so they didn't stretch themselves. And when they came over, they just sat prim on the fucking couch, talked a load of bollocks, and fucked off after half an hour. What's the point of that? There's no point. All we as kids were thinking, like, have they bought us anything? Have they bought us any fucking chocolate or what? Oh, fucking hell. If they bought us any chocolate, I'm fucking going out. Hanging around this old twat. The old man, he's just going, putting his dentures in and out. That's all he used to do to the kids. What a fucking tard. And so, people, look, I've got no time for these. I never had no love from them. I never had any compassion for them. My mother and father both killed themselves. My mother killed herself when I was 4. So she didn't have any compassion for me or my brother and 2 sisters. My old man, he killed himself when he was about fucking 67. He'd had enough. And, way to go. He just couldn't find any pleasure in their life. They thought, fuck it, I'm doing one. But most people, they don't have the balls, you see, because they're terrified. And so we have to have their balls. And we have to go, take the fucking pill and fuck off. Because we want your house and we want your money. The grandmother of my daughter, she's 86 years old now, shitting herself and can't remember her own fucking name and all that, and looks like she's 140, a wizened up old, she was an alright woman when she was an alright woman. She was a drone, but she was an alright drone, She always had plenty of time for me, and we used to have conversations on a level. But she's completely lost it now. So she's in a home, and it's £4,000 a month, and the home have put a lien on the house, which is worth like 300 grand. And if the old woman lives to another 2 or 3 years another 2 or 3 years, then all the money in the house is gone. So there's no inheritance, there's no payback for the daughter that's been doing all the care for the old woman's mother, my daughter's mother, which has been a doting, carer. All the money's gobbled up by care homes. Is that right? Is it correct? When the old woman's got no quality of life, she doesn't even know she's fucking alive. No, it's not right, people. When people have done the best by somebody, it's only right that they then get their inheritance as a bit of payback. At least, look, they've relieved their conscience up to a point. If you've got a cut-off period, look, 70 years old, or let's just say you have an IQ test, or you have some sort of compos mentis test. If you fail the compos mentis test, then it's over. You fucking take the pill, and you cut loose with your funds, and you share them amongst your family. And that's how I feel about it. And you guys feeling all compassionate, do you really feel compassionate about the silly old fool, old stick, or old granny that's hobbling down the street, or that's in a mobility car passes you on the way to the shop? Do you really have compassion? Because if you fucking did, then you'd do something to help them now and again, and you'd ask them, is there anything I can do? Can I come in and clean your fucking toilet? Can I come and scrub your fucking oven? No, you don't, do you? So you got no compassion, you just got bullshit. You're full of fucking bullshit. Because compassion has to mean something. Compassion has to pertain to actions. And if you don't put any actions into your bullshit compassion, you don't fucking have it. I'm telling some truth, aren't I? I'm speaking truth. You can't deny the logic, people. Because, I feel so compassionate, and we're all equal, and everybody just deserves to live, and this, that, and the other. Well, okay, how much spare time you got? You've got 6 hours spare time a week then. Okay, well, that old lady next door to you then, get round with your fucking rubber gloves on, scrubbing the skids from down her toilet, because she can't do it herself. So get round there and clean out the fucking cupboards and the cockroaches and all that. Put your fucking money where your fucking gob is. That's what I say. Just stand up and be counted. Stop with your bullshit. I can't stand the fucking idiot. You see, most people, they are fucking idiots. They don't know what they're doing or thinking. They simply do not. They've got all these ideas in their fucking heads. They haven't got a clue what the ideas mean. Because they've never fucking investigated the ideas. They've never followed the lineage of what those ideas mean. For God's sake. 99% of them, take them away. Take them away. When I get to be president of the world, you better watch out. You better fucking watch out. You better have good reason to be here. Even just to be sucking on this air around me, you better have good reason. You better be a good musician, or you better be able to fucking do flips on a motocross bike for my entertainment. Or you better be able to climb up a building, freestyle. Yeah, you better be able to do some of this shit. Otherwise, it's all over for you. So, let's continue, shall we? With the genius awoken brave France. There is genius in it, people. You don't get this shit. You do not get this shit anywhere. Well, first and foremost, they couldn't think along these lines. You need to be a very deep thinker to be able to come up with all this stuff. And you need to be very brave, and you need to not give a fuck. You need to be absolutely 1,000,000,000% confident in yourself and not give a fuck. And you've got to not give a fuck about who's going to be upset. I'm not upsetting anybody. If anybody's being upset, you are upsetting yourselves, because you've got stupid programs, stupid egos, and you've not thought through your thoughts. And so you are traumatizing yourselves. So one silly Billy in the comments yesterday, who's writing loads of stuff, you go and have a look at the thread, and she's a very silly Billy, one of these shrinking violet love and lighters, and she's as dumb as they come, and so I engaged with her, and just tried to help her on along a little way. But they've got a very, very peculiar and stupid and stereotypical way of looking at the world. And the way they look at the world is just a reflection of what telly's told them. Telly's told them this and telly's told them that, because they've never read a fucking book in their lives, and they've never had a thought of their own. So they are these sort of people that don't have internal monologues, let alone dialogues. They just have signals coming from telly or radio, or they read it in Woman's Own magazine, and that's the height of anything that they'll ever acquire in their lives. And this particular woman, she was saying, why do you punish women just because your mother died? And I'm like, I'm not punishing anybody. And I said this. I said, it's curious that you should think that I'm punishing you. I said to her, does your fantasy of me punishing you entail you being spanked by me by any chance? I said, because if that does, well, that's what we used to call hysteria in the old days, when you've got deep, unsatiated sexual desires that come out in some sort of hysterical reaction to the world, because you just don't know what to do with this energy which is bursting out from all different sorts of places. Yeah, and that was the end of the thread. It was just question mark. I'd just done it. I dropped that one on her. She ain't got a clue what I'm talking about. I talked about transference and, psychoanalysis and things like that. That just fried her fucking brain. Yeah, this is the way it is, people. And, when people come up on my channel, I don't know what brings them here. Sometimes, I'll be inclined to say fate brought you here, spirit brought you here, because in my life, I would say that spirit guides me to everywhere. And but then you see, I am not convinced that these drones have spirits. They're not spirited people. So what brought those to my channel? The algorithms brought those to my channel. It wasn't guiding spirits, and so when algorithms bring drones to my channel, well, they get their worlds turned upside down, inside out. They get metaphorically thrown around the fucking cosmos, because they haven't got a clue what's going on. And the only thing they can do then is start trying to, clutch on to whatever reality they think they're living in, and then spitting out some of their venom about how I'm punishing them. I'm like, I don't know who you are, I don't know where you are, I don't even know what you are, to be fair, and yet you've given me this power that I'm punishing you. Well, thank you. I never realised to the full extent of my power, but come to think of it, wow, I am pretty powerful. If I can punish the whole world via my videos, well, I must find a way of getting millions and billions of subscribers so I can punish everybody. Yes, I feel a certain Dr. Evil coming about. I really do. The powers to punish people via the words I say. Isn't that a thing? But more shocking than that notion is that there are actually people that believe that and feel that I am actually punishing them and I am being mean to them. When I'm speaking about old people should be called, and they've got an old stick and they've got this fake compassion towards, they've got no compassion, truth be told. If you look into compassion, people, it will all fall through your fingers, because it is all self-serving. It will all come back to you, the self, what it means to you. If you don't exhibit a little bit of kindness, if you don't go round and see your old mum once a week, "Hi mum, you alright? You need any milk?" And then she said, "Oh yeah, can you get me 20 Bensons as well?" And alright mum, so then you're like, fucking great, you've got another 15 minutes to drive to the shop and back, so you don't have to be with the old stick. And then you go back in, you go, "How's your milk and fags mum? So anyway, I must run because, like, I've got to take. What's that, pet? Oh, I've got to do. Oh, okay then. Well, I'll see you next week." And then, as you're walking out of the house, you look back at the house and you think, "How much is this fucking place worth? God, we're worth fucking 400 grand. Fucking hell, when's the old bitch gonna fuck off?" And you get in your car, and you're working out how you're going to spend the money, aren't you? Of course you are. Don't fuck with me. I know you through and through. I know you. I know deeply rooted what you are. And so you can't escape my intravision. You can't. And, here's a test. How many of you have already worked out what your share of the bequeathment is? Come on, you all know, don't you? You all fucking know. How many of you, "Oh, I've never even thought about that. I've never thought about that. I would never think about that." Really? You gotta be a retard then. If you've never even thought about that, if you're not planning your future a little bit. Hang on, if you're the only child and the house is worth 400 grand, it's kind of like, fuck, I can leave the old man, I can go and live in fucking Greece for the rest of my life, shagging little fucking Greek gods. Fucking hell, I'll be the queen of the region. Yeah. It makes sense, people. You don't speak in truth. Eating me, are you? Yeah. So, when I make these videos, and people thinking, "Oh, I can see how you think, I can see what you are," and then they send me, like, a link to a video or a little bit of a quote or something. "This may help you," like, I've got a psychological issue. No, I'm as healthy as they come. I'm absolutely free and able to think about a whole myriad of things unconstrained. I don't have a single constraint on the world, in the cosmos. I'm not constrained by God, and I'm not constrained by Satan. I'm constrained by nobody or nothing. And so I say what the fuck I want. In actual fact, the only constraint that I do have, if I'm going to speak about magic mushrooms, then they'll take my fucking videos down. But I can speak about COVID as much as I want to these days, because it's no longer out of bounds, because now they're all fucking swallowing their own bullshit, they're all eating their own hats, and they're all running to hide under their fucking stones, because the world's coming for them. Have you not seen the videos? How now many states in America are taking Pfizer and those other companies to court. They're fucking headhunting. The world is finally fucking woke up and they're headhunting these motherfuckers. But is anybody going to headhunt Fauci? Is anybody going to headhunt Gates? With all of the stuff. If you laid on the table all of the stuff that they were getting ready before this fake pandemic, if you got all the stuff laid on the table, then you could send Gates and Fauci to prison for life, because they all have fingers and pies for a long, long time, and they all knew it was coming, and they've all capitalized from it massively, and it's all on paper. You can see it. It's all on video, it's all on paper. They're bang to rights. But you see, they belong to the cartel of intelligent thinking people, and the masses are dumb fuck unintelligent non-thinking people. And so what's going to happen? Nothing. What's going to happen, people, is the next call is going to be this bird flu. Now that they've got the building all the vaccine factories for already, they've already got the patents, they already know exactly what they're going to do. Bill Gates is spending trillions and trillions on it, and it's just a case of when it's time, when the time is right. But over and above that, what they are doing now also is just another arrow to their quiver of how they're going to reduce the population, when they're going to do it by a Third World War. And so they're going to be conscripting all these people and sending them off to places they never even knew existed, and they're going to be dying for corporations and making a few gazillionaires just a little bit more rich, more powerful, and they are going to be giving rise to a great party full of hilarity when there's been another 5 million pink slugs culled, because they're going to be laughing at the dumb fucking stupid ass mentality of the pink ape. It's shocking. After all these years, after all these wars, they'll still look. How many troops are there? How many young GIs are there ready to go and be Captain America and all this? How many after all this time? We've been through Iraq, we've been through Afghanistan, we've been through Kuwait, we've been through Libya, we've been through Syria. Now we're in Ukraine. When are they going to learn? They'll never learn. They never came here to learn. They're automaton, they're drones, and they're just louche fodder. It's fear that needs to be generated. And so they're the boys. They're the boys for the job. Good. Well, I'm glad there's somebody for the job. Saves me getting my hands dirty. Good heavens. Yeah, so can you imagine now? Look, you see, these people are so clever. They're so far ahead of everybody else that they have been importing all these young brown men from many countries around the world. And we all know that these powers that be, they don't like anybody that's a bit swarthy. No, because they're Aryan. They like purity. And so they've been importing all of these young fighting age men. And we've all been going, oh, what's going on here? All these young fighting age men are being imported and they're being put up in hotels costing trillions a year. What's all that about? Where are the women and children? Surely it would be those that would need to be rescued first. Nobody's being rescued, people. People are being recruited. Young, strong men who don't give a fuck about Western people because they hate them. And so they're going to put guns in their hands and they're going to send them to do a job. And if they don't send them afar, then you will discover in no time at all, mark my words now, you will discover that these young brown men are going to be in uniforms with guns on our streets. And they're going to be caving your heads in if you step out of line remotely from the order of the day. Yeah, so it's all coming, people. And so all of you love and lighters, you better fucking start wrapping yourself up in cotton wool, doubly and triply now. And all you that think we're all the same, yeah, well, we're kind of all the same, only some are a lot more different than the others in a same sort of way. Yes, everyone's delusions and illusions are going to be busted wide open. The times are changing, people, and it's a glorious time. It's a glorious, glorious time. Because the fools will be falling, they'll be dropping like flies, and those intelligent of us are going to be watching and assessing and calculating, yes, and rejoicing. Probably I might have the odd glass of cognac and a cigar, after the odd battle here and there. Yes, I might, cheers to the powers that be, to the Archons. Look, the way I see it, people, and you may think that, I'm a terrible person and I need psychiatric help. No, the masses need psychiatric help, actually. And if they got it, and if they woke the fuck up, then they wouldn't be going to lay their precious lives on the line for people that just want to get a little bit more rich and want to take your privileges and rights away from you even more. These people go to war to kill and to destroy, and so certain people can get in possession of more resources, and when they've got the resources and then you come back with your arms and legs blown off and you're blind and you've got shell shock and all that sort of thing, they go, who gives a fuck? Look what you got around your neck. Is that not called a dog tag? It's because you're a dog of war, you fucking idiot. You've been used. Now fucking die already, because we ain't paying you no fucking pension. Because it's all gone. The pension's all gone. How many times have we heard that? And so, no sympathy. No sympathy. You know, look, I don't make the rules. The cosmos makes the rules. And if the cosmos has made everybody dumb as fuck, or 99% of the people dumb as fuck, then the cosmos has got good reason. Who am I to judge the cosmos? I'm not judging the cosmos. I go fucking great. You know, I can't even say I'm grateful for, you know, being one of the chosen few. Because if I wasn't one of the chosen few, I wouldn't know any difference. I'd just be putting up my hand like this. I'll go and fight them nasty Russians. Yeah, what do they call them these days? You know, they always used to call them the commies. And, you know, there's always been, you know, the Nazis and the commies and the terrorists, you know, all of these organisations, the institutions and that. But they've not even got a name for them now. It's just Russia. They've even given up on, you know, creating these, like, terrifying acronyms or whatever, you know, like Nazi. No, they don't do that anymore. They just go, oh, it's over there, yeah, we're going to kill them. Yeah, well, you know, they're doing mean things. They're doing nasty things. And, well, we in the West, we're more moral than them, and we don't think they should be doing that. Oh, okay, then, so what are you going to do? Well, we're going to go and kill millions of them. Well, isn't that the same immoral sort of activity? Well, this is for the good. We've got God on our side. So you don't think it's evil? You don't think you've got the devil on your side then? Isn't it the devil that wants to kill? Aren't you doing the devil's work? No, we're doing it in the name of the Lord. Who's buying that? Are you buying that? I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. You know, one of the viewers and you know, friend I speak with about these entities and things, well, he would say it's all the devil, and it's the devil, and it's as clear as day, it's the devil. Well, it's not that clear to me, you know, because there's too many fingers in pies, you know. And if you're going to say it's the devil, I would say, well, it's the human, because it's the human. Oh, but it's the devil that's doing it through the human. No, I can't go there. You know, I can't go there that every single nefarious action is all attributed to one evil fucking entity, which is all around. I can't go there. I can't. Because if we go there, and if we divide it all into it's all God or it's all devil, then what does that make us? It makes us complete automaton, doesn't it? Without any choice or jurisdiction of our own. If we're just being manipulated by the God and devil, then there's no fucking point in us even being here. We're just fucking pawns on a chessboard. But to be quite frank, I don't feel like a pawn. And so maybe I'm not one of these pawns, but I can certainly see pawns all around me. I can see how they're just being manipulated. You know, fuckers that drive a bus, they just get fatter and fatter and fatter, and every time the bus stops for 5 minutes, they get outside, and they just kill themselves a little bit more, and then they get back on the bus, and that's all they do. Well, what are they here for? They're here to serve any light beings that might one day just want to take a fucking bus, which invariably I will never ever do. But maybe these buses, they're to get the idiots into the factories. Yeah, so, you know, Amazon can deliver all the stuff I need, and people can bottle all my beer and pack my crisp. Yeah, that's what buses are for. So you've got these tubes for these drones. You've got all that going on, people all over the world, and then you've got a few seers that see it for exactly what it is, and you go, well, it seems like it's all for me, really. It does. Got all this stuff going on, I mean, I'm not involved in the war in Ukraine. I wasn't involved in the war in Kuwait. I wasn't involved in Afghanistan. I wasn't involved in Syria. I wasn't involved in Libya. I've never been involved in Afghanistan, or never, Korea or Vietnam, or, World War One or World War Two or anything like that. No. I've just always lived in bliss. So it's kind of like, well, I'm a bit like a Roman emperor, really, because everybody's working for me. And, how could I think about it any other way? I can't, can I? In good conscience, I can't think about it any other way, because that's just the way it is. So I think to myself, okay, well, look, these Archons, they're sacrificing. They're still doing their sacrifices. They like to do their burnt offerings, because they're all going to burn, of course. So they're doing their burnt offerings. They're still doing that Yahweh burnt offering stuff. And then they're gathering up all the resources. Well, who's going to be benefiting from the resources? Well, I am. I'm going to be benefiting from the resources, because they are owned by people that own this country, like the royal family and the Masons, and all those you-know-whos that own Great Britain, and so, well, it's kind of like, it's cool to be on the good side. I'm on the good side, and you could say, no, you're on the evil side. Well, you can call it evil, but all the proceeds are very, very good for me. So what side would I choose, really? If I had a choice of choosing to be on God's side, what is God's side? Is God's side the losers? If God's side is the losers, then I would think that, well, he's a weak pussy and he's being beaten by the devil every day. I would then take it one step further, and I would say, well, no, he's not even the good side, he is the evil side. Proclaiming to be the good side, that sounds right, because the deceiver is always supposed to deceive. So it seems right to me that whenever you hear somebody saying, I do it for God, or it's in the name of God, just invert it. It's in the name of evil and the devil. That's what it is. So when we look at who wins from these wars, let's have a look at that, shall we? So, is it the devil that wins, or is it God? Who wins? Well, it depends what side you're on. So, if Ukraine lose against Russia, then God in God in Russia wins, because why? Because they get all the benefits of the proceeds. They get all the resources from Ukraine. They've got jurisdiction over that land, and they've won. They've got a little bit more territory to protect themselves. So doesn't that sound like the sort of thing that God did in the Old Testament? He was always doing that shit like that, wasn't he? He was always saying, you go and fight these and God will be with you, and he helped them kill, so I'm confused. I'm all confused. You talk about God being benevolent and good, and yet he tells you to go and murder and to conquer and to enslave people and all that. Really? And then, if one side wins, if it's like America and they've got "In God We Trust" on their coins, then everyone goes, oh, that's God. God is in the American fucking stratosphere, in the American ether. God's looking after us. What sort of cunt's God? When he let millions of people be slaughtered in the Ukraine, millions of Russians died, millions of our own people died. What sort of God's that? A God that's supposed to love us? I don't think so. You know what I say? Go fuck yourself, God. I do. Because if there was a God, there wouldn't be any wars. There wouldn't be any wars. Because he loves all his children and he wants to protect every single one of them. So, I've got so much to say about all this bullshit and all this shit that idiots believe, because they've never just stopped to fucking think about simple things like that. Well, who is God and who is the devil? And how would we see God and the devil in the victor or the vanquished? How would we? Would God always be with the victor because, it's a holy war and God wanted the goodies to win? Well, wow. So all these people, just because they're born in a different country, on a different continent, then God was quite willing to wipe them out. That don't sound fair. That don't sound reasonable. Why couldn't God manipulate all the people in power to go to meetings and say, look, human life is precious. Resources are not that fucking precious. Human life has to be more precious than resources. So we'll keep the human life. We'll work out what we're going to do with the resources. We'll share the resources. Let's share the resources. We've got one world, one humanity. Let's share the fucking resources. But it seems that, the great almighty human being has not worked that one out yet. No, we've not worked that one out. We've not even worked it out as masses. Millions, 8 billion of us. We haven't even worked that one out to stand up to the odd person at the top of the pile and just go, oi, you up there? You better come the fuck down here and be accountable. And if you fucking do this and you do that, just like they did in the old days, they'd have their fucking heads on spikes. But now the people are too dumb. I was listening to Russell Brand yesterday, and he's speaking about the Third World War. It's looking very, very imminent. How many of you actually want it? How many of you are just going to sit there like dumb fucks while it goes on? How many of you are going to be donning your fucking khaki shirt and going off to earn the money for these people? How many of you are just going to say no? If masses and masses just say we ain't going to no wars anymore, it'll all be over. They just have to go, it was always our intention all along to call a truce, of course, and, to come to some sort of a sharing agreement about these resources. Yes, really. Well, that is probably their intention, because they're all in it together. But the other intention then, of course, is the culling. What else can it be? It's providing the powers that be with the loosh that they need. You see, it's the loosh that they want as their payback. So these Archons, they give these humanoid things all the power and jurisdiction and all the children's blood and all that. They give them all that, but then they say to them, we need the loosh. Where's our loosh coming from next? And then they go, well, we've got Afghanistan on the way. We're working on Syria. We're working on Libya. No. Iran, yes, Iran. I always get confused with those two countries. Yes, but the brown swarthy people anyway. We're working on that one. We're just speaking about they've got an atomic bomb and they want to wipe out the whole world and they want to wipe out Israel and all these sort of things. So, yes, we're working on the loosh. And the Archons are going, it's not coming soon enough. You've been talking about this for too long. You've been talking about this for 30 years or more. I need the loosh now. And they go, okay, well, I suppose we could work something out in the Ukraine. How much do you want? 3 million souls should satiate us for a while. 3 million souls. Okay, well, yeah, I'm sure we can. We've got like 5 million immigrants, so we can send them. Then we've got a few of our own, white boys. Don't want to send too many of them, to be fair, really. Compromises have to be made. Yes. Anyway, wow, what a great video, eh? What an awesome video. Did you love it? Did you fucking love it? Can you compare it with anybody else's videos on the planet? No, you can't, can you? You can't. So why don't you say it? Why don't you say, wow? That was just wow. Those of you that are long-term viewers, you don't have me down for being mentally ill. You don't have me down for being evil. You just have me down for being someone that doesn't give a fuck about what he says. Why should I? Why should I own anything I say? It's your jurisdiction, it's your prerogative whether you want to own what I say, whether you want to take ownership of my words. If you want to take ownership of them and they then in turn you create certain chemical reactions in your body, don't be projecting it back onto me. It's nothing to do with me. I'm just saying words out into the world. Potentially anyone can listen. If you get upset about it, it's because you're upset with yourself. because there's a conflict, there's a cognitive dissonance going on, because what I'm saying, your higher self, if you have one, knows that what I'm saying has great validity to it. If you are a drone, automaton, husk, then you are just getting a negative reaction due to your programming. And anything that you hear outside of your programming, then you have a problem with, because that's how you've been programmed, fools, isn't it? So if you have a problem with what I say, then you might want to look at going to infinite waters, because you'll never ever have another problem for the rest of your lives. Ooh, wouldn't that be sweet? And you can live in this cotton wool world until something tragic happens in your family, till you get cancer, or your house burns down, or all that sort of thing. And then you'll be going, oh, where's my infinite waters cotton wool house? Oh, I want my infinite waters to cuddle me. God, what jokers. Jokers. So I look at myself and I go, well, am I engaging in the devil? Yes. I'm engaging in taunting, because that's what the devil does. He taunts. And he jousts. He doesn't do anything evil. He's not responsible for anything evil. You are. Human beings are responsible because it's them that takes the action. If there is a devil, and if this devilish thing puts thoughts into your mind, then if you have a fucking mind, then you have a choice whether you want to take it or not. Simple, yes? So, what I do, because I do have a choice, and I have God speaking to me, I have Satan speaking to me, metaphors, people, I have the yin and the yang of the cosmos speaking to me, and the yin and the yang, they offer me things that I could do or say. And so at times, you know, these venomous rants, they are not so prolific. They come about every now and again, but people have very, very short memories of the beautiful things I say and the empowering things I say. And this is why I despise those cunts even more, because they don't even fucking remember the video I made yesterday, and they're just judging me every time I'm making a video, because these pricks, all they're fucking looking for is to get their own fucking ego satiated. Satiate my ego everywhere they fucking go. Muppets, satiate my ego. Fuck your ego. I don't give a fuck for your ego. Go fuck your ego. That's what I say. I'm dealing with cosmic spirit. That's what I'm doing. And for those of you that have it, then you'll know where I'm coming from, and you'll know where it's coming from. And what I'm doing is I am just offering suggestions. I am offering you an opportunity to think about what the fuck you think. If you do think about every fucking thing. Every thought you have, think where that came from and what it means. And so when I make vitriol videos, I say to myself, okay, well, I am feeling a negative entity which wants to vocalize itself through me. And I'm like, that's cool. You can vocalize yourself through me, because it's not evil. It's just a negative polarity to shake people out of their stupor, out of their dumb fucking fantasy that we're all one, and you know, we all should be kind and fucking loving. Since when? It's never ever happened. It's never ever going to happen. It doesn't happen in the paradoxical cosmos. So you'll have to wait till you go some fucking where else and hope that you get that fluffy shit somewhere. But I don't think you will somehow. Somehow I just don't think you will. Because this paradox permeates the whole of the cosmos in every single dimension. It's just the fools that fantasize about heaven and everything being wonderful. It's just a fantasy, people, because you're afraid. But just be a fucking warrior. Be a warrior and you'll fear not. You see, it's just a different mindset. See, at this moment in time, I'm reading Julius Evola, and Julius Evola in this book. Forget what the book is. He's speaking about the God-given right of leaders and kings, and he's speaking about chivalry and honour in defending oneself and honouring dying for a good cause and all these sort of things, which are a thing of the past now. You know, that was something which was about, you know, a couple of thousand or 1,000 years ago. Now things have changed, and there's no honour anymore, and there's no deep rooted belonging to any given tribe or society. We all feel so fractalized, we all feel so detached, and we don't really give a fuck about anybody or anything, truth be known. And so yes, I allow varying entities to speak through me, and they are not, they're not evil, they're not vicious, they're not venomous, they're very philosophical, they're very practical. When we look at the aged, it's a practical application that I'm doing, people, and absolutely guaranteed, without a shadow of a doubt, it's the way the world's going, because the world has to head towards some sort of order. It's always fighting against chaos and heading towards order. But what's happening is, when we're getting more and more people living longer and longer, we're entering into greater chaos. We have to bring that back. We have to eradicate that level of chaos. We have to save all those funds. We have to save all that energy, and we have to put it into our youth and our young, and hopefully into much more beautiful things. Instead of building billions of old people's homes which smell like shit and piss, then we'll be building beautiful plazas and leisure centres and all that sort of thing for the young and the vital. Anyway, 1 hour and 15 minutes. Okay. I think I'll call it a day at that. Anything else? Because I know you've all got fucking brains like goldfish, let me just finish up saying why I make videos like I did yesterday. Now, it isn't because, per se, I believe everything and I want everything that I say to be true. When I say I'm really looking forward to the Holocaust or to the apocalypse, to be quite frank, I'm indifferent. I really am indifferent, because I'm the cosmos, and it will only be me that's doing it. And so I am super indifferent about that, and I'm like, well, you know, if there's another world war, if this and that, well, just another experience. That's what we're doing here, people. We're just experiencing. And, you know, if you people, oh, I don't want this and I don't want that, well, just think yourself fucking super lucky, you cowardice fucking plebs, that you weren't born in Afghanistan, you weren't born in war-torn countries, you weren't born in the heart of Africa, you weren't born in South Africa, you weren't born in all these places where they're super oppressed and life is cheap and there's always famines, this, that and the other. You was born in a first world country and you've literally lived a cotton wool life. Fuck you with your cotton wool lives. That's what I say. It's time for a change now. It's time for somebody else to have a cotton wool life, and you fuckers to start to experience what it's like to live in a war-torn world. And then you may start to think about real compassion. Yeah, let's see if you've got it, shall we? Right. Let's see how far you want to go out of your way. Let's see how you'll bend over backwards just to helping everybody else. Or let's see how you'll be self-serving, just like you always are, with your fictions and your fantasies.